If you want to check out how much is the average for only those scenarios when a promotion is running versus when a promotion is not running, you have a couple of options. First option is to apply the average for a filtered data set. If you don't want to apply the filter again and again, you can also use a special formula provided by Excel, which is average if. Let's check it out. So let's say we want to calculate, as before, the average promotions. And in another case, we will want to see average for non-promotions. Let's start with all the stores. And as I said, we can apply average if. Average if checks for a condition, and if that condition meets, then gets the average. How you do it is you complete the formula average if you specify which range do you want to check. The range that you want to check for condition. Over here, the range that we want to check for condition is promo, our column G. We want to check if this column has a value 1. So after a semicolon, you specify if it has a value 1. A value 1 will indicate that there is a promotion going on. And then after a semicolon, you specify that if this condition becomes true, then what do we want to get an average of? We want to get the average of sales. So we specify sales here. And then you close the bracket. And here you can see that in the cases where promotion was happening, the average was 7,766. Let's copy the formula and change the condition. Here our condition is that instead of having the open or the promotions happening, we want to see when the promotions are not happening, so a 0. And when we hit enter, we see that in this case our store performances are way lower, which is only 4,175 compared to the 7,766. Consider the scenario where you want to get the average sales for weekends versus weekdays. How do you proceed with that? First of all, we need to know which columns are important for this kind of calculation. Of course, we want to get the average of sales, so sales column is important. But now to know which columns, which rows correspond to weekends versus which corresponds to weekdays, we need to look at day of the week. That's our simplest bet. So here, day of the week is starting from Monday. So 1 is Monday, 2 is Tuesday, 3, 4, 5, 5 is Friday, and then 6 and 7 are representing the weekend, which is Saturday and Sunday. It means that now we need to apply our average, a conditional average, that if our day of the week is between 1 and 5, then go ahead and calculate the sales. This is for our weekday average. And then for weekend average, our formula would be average if the day of week is 6 or 7. This is going to be different from promo because promo had only two values, 0 and 1. We did not have to specify if it's equal to 0, if it's more than 1, and so on and so forth. In this case, we want to specify a condition. If it's less than 6, then it's a weekday. If it's greater than equal to 6, then it's a weekend. So here, the formula that you apply is not a simple average if, rather it's average if S. This one. Before we go ahead and apply the formula, let's give the metrics. So we want to have average for weekend and we want to have average for weekdays. And now we go ahead with the average if s. So you pick up the formula, and here is how you apply it. First, you need to specify what do you want to get the average of. We want to get the average of sales, so we go ahead and pick sales. Next, you need to specify for what is your criteria, which is we want to pick day of week. So after a semicolon, day of week, and what is the formulation? If this day of week is greater than equal to 6, that's a weekend, and we pick this up. Since we are now applying a formula, so we put that in quotation marks. So quotation marks start, greater than equal to 6, and then quotation marks close. And now we close the bracket. We read it like this, that if the value in column B, which is day of week, is greater than equal to 6, then use that data point for calculating the average and use sales for that. And I hit enter, and now I get an average for weekend, which is 2,830. Looks quite low, but we will check it out later. We can now have the same formulation over here. And now instead of greater than equal to 6, we put less than 6. And average on weekdays is 6,600. And now it actually makes sense. The stores perform better over the weekdays compared to the weekend.